I spoke about swapping the toys and gender neutral parenting, where I
Uh-huh.
said that, I spent so many breaks during the meetings, high profile boardroom meetings where other colleagues would be exchanging visiting card and I would be going to a corner and calling the nanny to ask if the baby has pooped. So the gender divide automatically, as much as we try to be evolved or more progressive about it. So my proposition or my call to action was that, the next time you have a birthday invite of a little child, give a doll to the boy and give a doctor set or a
Right, right.
Lego set to a girl, and don't give a gun to anybody.
Hi, friends. Welcome to the Aspire and Acquire podcast. I'm your host, Sandeep Suri. Join me for listening to some incredible stories about some of the best professionals from very diverse fields like combat flying, robotic surgery, dancing, tea farming, journalism, deep sea diving, and so on. These accomplished professionals are not just outstanding in their jobs, but also have unique stories to share with us. We have tried to make the show truly global by having these guests from different parts of the world. Everyone has a story, but the real magic lies in learning how to make our stories resonate, how to make them sticky, memorable, and impactful. Stories have the power to connect, heal, and inspire, but they can only achieve this when we explore them deeply and tell them with authenticity. Today, we are honored to have Sinjini Sengupta with us, a master storyteller and the founder of Lighthouse, whose journey is a shining example of the transformative power of narratives. Sinjini's remarkable transition from the precision of numbers as an associate actuary to the boundless creativity of storytelling illustrates the profound potential within all of us to rewrite our own lives. Her journey has been enriched by deep introspection through noble silence spells at Vipassana retreats, the validation of multiple TEDx talks, and accolades like her award winning novel Elixir, which graced the 69th Cannes Film Festival as a short film. Sinjini's work is a call to action, a reminder that the stories we tell ourselves and the world are the keys to unlocking our true potential. In this episode, we will dive into the art and soul of storytelling, exploring how it can transform not only personal lives but also professional journeys. Get ready to be inspired as Sinjini helps us uncover the stories waiting to be told within each of us and shows us how to make them unforgettable. Welcome, Sanjini, to the Aspire and Acquire show.
Thank you, Sandeep. My pleasure to be here with you talking.
Sure. So let's get going from the world of numbers to the world of narratives. Can you share the pivotal moment when you decided to transition to this beautiful business of Lighthouse of storytelling, and what fueled the leap of faith in your story?
That's a very interesting question, but perhaps the answer is not so interesting, Sandeep. The thing is that neither was there one pivotal moment, nor was there a business in question. So I'll answer the second one first and then come to the moment, if or
Sure.
not pivotal. So the second one is that, I'm a Pong. So business was something I never heard, never thought well about. Money was bad, business was bad. And I always grew up to be somebody who's like, studying hard or reading storybooks, but very nerdy, very intellectual, and listening to the bosses or the authorities all the time.
Oh, I see.
So rebel at heart, but not so much with the career piece. So yeah, business came much, much, much later on. I think what first came is even the revelation that I can, you know, emotions are important, the mind and body are connected. We need emotions even at workplaces. Or in regular life, we need to present ourselves as holistic people at work. I think these realizations came much before.
Mm.
And also the very interesting and fortunate fact, which I almost forgot for myself, that maybe I can speak, maybe I can write, maybe I can put my thoughts into words fairly well. So
Mm.
that was comforting, and that kind of bridged my passion to do this to my ability to do this. And now coming to the moment, really, as I was describing to you a while back,
Yeah.
after a fairly intense, long period of talking to the computer in the number language, I'm from
Mhm.
ISI. I went straight from the campus into a career of an actuary. So coding, pricing, designing new insurance products, very exciting, especially that time in the industry, but doing a lifetime of that and forgetting I am capable of anything else, and also segregating work and life until I couldn't. So I was then a mother to a toddler and working US hours, and obviously, the many things, 13 reasons why, as I put it,
Mm.
the many things that are only aspirational at workplace in terms of emotional intelligence, emotional safety, as well as at home, the kind of home we are trying to build away from the hometown, being the village for yourself, for little children as mothers. All of these facts came together. I sucked it up until I couldn't. There was a point when I was frankly quite literally fainting on the road, a few episodes of blackout on the road.
Oh
The
my God.
doctor told me I was a step away from quadriplegia, to be very specific. So, a whole
Mm.
lot of, like, I was visiting some 16 doctors at that time. It's funny almost. So, yeah, major depressive disorder, orthopedic to spinal to, a whole lot of stuff. Then it hits the liver, then it hits the, obviously,
Yeah.
heart. And so it became a vicious cycle. So I thought I'm taking a small break to recover, and then I'll be right back, because I couldn't see myself without that identity of a career. Like, I was always grown up with that idea and I embraced that idea.
Mm.
So life had different plans, maybe. So I started to write more as a way of catharsis. I started to speak also when I discovered I could speak, maybe, on the feet a bit. So then slowly some validations came through. Some people read and said, oh my God, this is my story. How do you know me?
Mhm.
So that, I think, was the beginning. Speaking, writing, telling stories, being honest about the shadow side of things and not making it look like a happy decision that, change of priority. Now I'm a mom and not an actuary. So trying to dig a little deeper into it, asking why. Those things kind of got me somewhere, but I was still far away from the idea of business. I almost didn't hear of entrepreneurship, if you would believe me. I was
Mhm.
still thinking the way back to a career would be only to go back to the corporate, or maybe, do a PhD or something,
Mm.
which again, my professors used to prod me a lot, but I chose corporate.
Yeah.
I think it was much later on, at least 4 or 5 years into the journey, that I realized that, okay, fine, I have a book, I have walked on the red carpet at Cannes, very lucky. I have, I have a few TEDx, and I mean, somehow that credibility credential was building. I
Mm.
was getting invited to places to do the work that I do now under my own brand. So that is how finally Lighthouse happened.
Awesome. So, with the background of actuary, right? So you were an associate actuary, and hopefully that influenced your approach to storytelling. Are there any parallels that you could draw between the two worlds?
Uh, Parallels, interesting. Yes, I feel that if you would talk about very categorically the curriculum that, that we follow as an actuary, we have some essential pieces in that syllabus, which says that, so there was one interesting exam we had to write just at the middle of the actuary. We have 15 exams, and it sat almost at the middle of that course. And it said, can you write a letter to your grandmother explaining the recent fluctuation in the equity market?
Oh.
And I
Hmm.
feel that, as much as we were experts in writing up the pointed actuaries reports and, drawing up all those reserve charts and all of that, we kind of faltered at that. We couldn't explain it to our grandmother.
Mm.
how it works.
Interesting.
I feel storytelling does exactly that. It really brings you to the 101. It helps you with the pen and paper thought process. And if not that, then it is not mainstream. If not that, then it doesn't make business sense or practical sense. So that is one parallel I can think of. And of course, uh, the fact that in our individual career journeys also, Sandeep, I'm very sure you would resonate and perhaps appreciate also. There is a point when we come, when even if we are continuing in the same organization, in the same specialization, we
Mhm.
either take a decision to become a leader or we stay an IC or an SME.
Yeah.
Like whether you want to be a subject matter expert or whether you want to be a leader. I feel storytelling becomes a very transitional, critical skill to have around that point, if not sooner. So
Mm.
that is another parallel I can think of right now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about your mission, right? I was reading on your website, Hearts to Work. So, how does Lighthouse reflect your mission to bring hearts to work?
Okay. Um, I believe we already have been in a transitional phase. I mean, it might be a little too 30,000 feet view to talk
Mhm.
about it this way, but I feel that there has been some reminders. There was a slow, gradual process when we were already asking, what are we doing this for? And there are so many people who are rediscovering themselves, so many people who are making big changes in their lives and lifestyles. But of course, with the recent, pandemic, etc., bigger questions were asked to all of us. I
Mm.
mean, we may or may not heed to them, but what do we need? What do we want? What is this for? We have been humbled spiritually as well as professionally as well.
Yeah.
I feel that the prescription that was given to us when we were younger, of course, came from an industrial age model. Study hard and everything in life will be a cakewalk. There is a straight pathway. So you do this, and after that, you do this, not just for career, but also for life. And they kind of, went hand in hand. What I believe I realized, and also few people realized, is that our well-being was not as emphasized as it should have been, and the way to be well is to help others be well and to hold that space, be emotionally safe. These are things that we perhaps didn't speak so much about early on. We
Yeah.
were either good at our work, work hard, party harder. We would come back slosh, and we would also judge people who are in more vulnerable phases of their life because we were youngsters. We could stay up 4 in the morning at work, and we would look down upon people who are like, half day leaving too soon. It only took us life events to humble ourselves.
Yeah.
I feel that, holding space is really what I mean when I talk about bringing hearts to work. I actually take that phase from Damik Shafik, who was the director at London School of Economics. So she had said in an interview that in the past work was about muscles. In the present it is about the brain, but in the future it is going to be about the heart.
Mm.
And I often feel that again, the chat GPT or AI, they are also hugely reminding us that, most of our stuff that can be replicated are being replicated, taken away. They're doing far better. They're doing eye surgeries better than humans.
Mm.
The only way left to be human is to be human. And that doesn't only mean the living room of our home. That also means the work, and not even just the cafeteria at work. That even means the way we write, the way we speak, the way we hold each other's shoulder through difficult times. We have to be humanized at work. That is what I feel fairly strongly about.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to build a little bit in my own capacity through storytelling.
Awesome. Switching gears, Vipassana did have some influence in your life. I know about that. How have your experiences with Vipassana meditation shaped your journey and your storytelling philosophy?
That's a wonderful question. Thank you. So I first found Vipassana back in 2016. So 2014 and 15 was the time when I was really unwell. I was, as I said, fainting on the road
Mm.
quite quite a few times, like almost weekly. Around that time, of course, after that many medicines, the doctor said you have to now, calm down, do something that makes you happy. And I'm an atheist. I'm a born from, bit of a communist background that we all have. It was hard to find the right fit where religion and spirituality had, different compartments, etc. So I went in with a half belief kind of a mind state, but what it really did teach me over the 8 times that I have went so far, now that we are talking, I went back 8 times, and each time 10 days of noble silence. Switching the selfie mode inwards. It's just close your eyes and see what's happening inside your body.
Right.
That I believe that, that really unclutters a bit of the clutter, that shows you mirror in many ways, shifts you from that victim narrative to ask yourself some hard questions, or at least stay with them instead of being, putting it on something else, or even as much have the luxury of putting it out on the paper and, quite physically getting done with it. It is extremely deep reflection, introspection, awareness. Awareness, I think, is the biggest piece. So each time we go, it takes away a layer from our mind, and that has been fairly powerful. How it informs my storytelling, I believe that I have come to understand that the most important stories are the ones that I tell myself between my 2 ears.
Mm.
The one that I tell myself, about other people, about the world, if it is a safe space or a dangerous space, if it is, hopeful or disastrous. So those stories that I tell myself about myself show up, in your character, show up in your behavior. Beliefs lead to behavior, as you would know, Sandeep. And then, of course, it culminates into choosing, curating. Authenticity doesn't always mean that you have to be like, a stream of consciousness. Like, I feel like this and I do this. It's not monkey mind. Authenticity means being aware and being sincere and being responsible as well. So I believe that now what I teach is less of uh, style and more of authentic character in
Mm.
storytelling. So that
You're
is how
you're
Vipassana
spot on.
has.
Authenticity in storytelling is so critical and important because that's how you build your credibility as a storyteller, right?
Oh yes, oh yes, yes.
Okay.
One
Yeah.
major, very, tangible takeaway that I keep repeating every time I speak is that I ask, who is your favorite speaker, and they would typically name maybe some leaders, some celebrities, or
Mm.
some hugely successful TED speaker who has given a very strong, impactful message. So while we keep the message, while we learn from them, but the, you have to be your own speaker. You cannot try and imbibe somebody else's
Yeah.
style, gesture, posture. So we are all comfortable in our own skin, and that is what you learn through storytelling. How to express like yourself, not like anybody else.
Yeah. Very powerful. Yes. Okay. Let's talk about power of stories now. In your view, what makes storytelling such a powerful tool for personal and professional transformation?
The fact that we are made of stories. Again, I use this as a part of a few of the keynotes that I do, that I think we are made of story cells. Like we eat food for our physical body, we eat stories for our mind,
Hmm.
frankly. And
Hmm.
even the most rational looking business decisions, which may be driven by, okay, ROI, what's the ROI? Show me the numbers. So what is the contingency? What are the mitigation? Even those are, at the end of the day, fairly emotional decisions. And if human beings are irrational, emotional people, the only way we are left with is stories. The sooner we come home to that fact, we would know what to say, but also what's going on in their mind. Can I connect my what I say to fill up the gaps in the story in their mind because they have come in with a story.
Right.
I believe that stories are so powerful because somewhere it externalizes the problem. It gives us an opportunity that we are both on the same side of the table looking to solve a problem that is on the table. So it reduces the antagonism, it bridges hearts, and it builds a common narrative that we are on the same side, we are trying to solve it, we are all humans, helping each other, walking each other home. So once you create that safety, again, every time I say story, I automatically come to the words authenticity, safety, because that gives you that creative space to nurture the other person and move them towards a win-win solution.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to talk about you writing Elixir. Yeah. Your book, Elixir, won
Yes.
awards and was adapted into a short film. What was the inspiration behind
Yes.
the story, and how did it feel to see it come to life on the big screen?
Well, your first novel is, again, I'm taking the risk of putting, speaking for other people as well as much as I speak about myself. The first
Mm.
novel will always be a bit autobiographical that way, but of course, in at least the protagonist, there will be shades of yourself, etc. So it really came from a space of asking some questions for myself and then giving myself some dream fulfilling kind of answers, at least in my novel, if not in real life. So Elixir, as I would love for you to, Sandeep, read it, watch it if you get an opportunity. So Elixir is really a story of a woman just like myself. So one day she leaves her office on her way back home. She just whimsically walks into a coffee shop and she asks for coffee and she asks for a glass of water because she's thirsty. And the waiter serves her water, but that's not water, that's elixir. So that evening, when she goes back home, she does the regular stuff, instructs the cook, fills, stocks up the grocery. She goes to sleep and then she wakes up in the coffee shop. And
Mm.
every night since that night, every time she goes to sleep, she picks up from where she left the last night. So she starts to live a parallel life where, another life has begun for her.
Interesting.
And everything that she couldn't be in this life, which is why she's living a very regular, regular office, regular stuff. She lives in that life, be more authentic, be more close to nature, be more hands-on, find a new career, find a new life for herself. And then she kind of reconciles or she doesn't between the two life. And at one point she can choose which one she wants to put over the other. So I
So,
think it's
so
kind of a
finally,
wish fulfillment.
so finally, does she choose?
Yes, she
Okay.
does. She does, but
Okay.
of course, it comes with its own consequences.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
But I believe that it really came from a very deep space within me.
Mm.
It was the question I was asking myself, so I put it down in a book.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, right? I guess, every action that we take in our lives, will have certain amount of consequences, good, bad, ugly, whatever it could be. And then you take an informed decision based on what you are what you are seeing in your life, and then you choose a path.
Yes, yes, and I don't know. Because good, bad, ugly, these binary discriminations also we have formed as long as, of course, we should not be hurting somebody, we should not be causing any damage. But what is good, bad, ugly? I think we are slowly also kind of coming to space to ask more questions around them.
Oh,
And
sure.
informed decision, as you said, Sandeep, we are all overthinkers, I'm sure. Most of the people like uh, who are in this kind of shared space. At times, that also impedes the journey. At times, we also need to be a little more intuitive, little more crazy, a little more
Yeah.
playful, free-willed. take chances. So informed decision, yes, but again to remember that, it's okay. Like take ourselves lightly. Don't take life so seriously type.
Yeah. Right. Okay, let's talk about the Cannes experience, right? Walking the red carpet, at the Cannes Film Festival is a dream for many. How was that experience for you, and what did it mean for your career?
Very interesting, but it really seems like, so if my life would be a book, that leaf of that book is definitely colored in a different color and doesn't sit with the rest of, so it suddenly really happened.
Mm.
So
Tell us the
of course,
backstory. Tell us the backstory about it a little bit, if you can.
So the backstory really is this, that, I wrote Elixir as a short story, very, very, dramatically. I wrote it on my way back from work to home at 11 in the night, sitting in the office cab on my BlackBerry.
Oh,
This
okay,
was like,
BlackBerry days. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
those were the BlackBerry days, and I actually did write Elixir almost like in a trance. Like I would take 1.5 hours to come home because of the office cab roster, and I just wrote it almost in a trance, like on my
Right.
QWERTY, this thing, and I put it on my blog. Of course, it was, as I said, very autobiographical and very
Yeah.
personal. So it really came from informed. So yeah, so that kind of took off, went off the roof when that email hit us that,
Mm.
it has been selected. And so to
Wow.
clarify, so the Cannes mainstream is very, very different. That's very
Sure.
big.
Yeah.
This is the Cannes short film corner where they actually select and, pick a few of the entries which they think is worth,
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
space and platform. And so we were invited to go attend and also attend, red carpet. There are some films which are featured on the red carpet auditorium. And the
Uh-huh.
ones that actually run the mainstream sections, the best film of the worlds, etc.
Right.
So yeah, we did walk
Okay.
the red carpet and watch one of those films.
Excellent. Must be a proud moment, of course. Okay.
Yes, it definitely
I
was.
want to talk about your TEDx speaker journey now. You've spoken at TEDx multiple times. What are some of the key messages you have shared, and how do they resonate with today's audience?
Oh, thank you. I spoke on TEDx 4 times till now.
Mhm.
The first one was 2017 November. Incidentally, the same month, November 2017, when Elixir came out, a week away from each other. So the first one was when my daughter was 6 years old and I had left my job, and I had, spent about 2, 3 years around that time, really asking these questions for the first time to myself and realizing that, oh my God, so much of it really goes down to this childhood. I can say, bad boss, bad mom-in-law, bad this, bad that, but really it all, these are triggers, these are like scratches on the surface, but really it comes down to my self-esteem, my inner child wound, etc., from so long back. So the first TEDx, I spoke about swapping the toys and gender neutral parenting, where I
Uh-huh.
said that, I spent so many breaks during the meetings, high profile boardroom meetings, where other colleagues would be exchanging visiting card and I would be going to a corner and calling the nanny to ask if the baby has pooped. So the gender divide automatically, as much as we try to be evolved or more progressive about it. So my proposition or my call to action was that, the next time you have a birthday invite of a little child, give a doll to the boy and give a doctor set or a,
Right, right.
Lego set to a girl, and don't give a gun to anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the first one.
Hmm.
The second one was on women. And by that time, I was more gaining that niche or that focus that, we need to talk more about women at workplace. So it was aptly and directly named Women at Workplaces. And there, my message really was that my parents brought me up uh, as a woman to be ready for the workplace. And now it falls on us to bring up our children, to bring up the, sorry, I'll go again. So our parents brought us up women to be ready for the workplace. And now it falls on us to grow up the workplaces to be ready for the
Ah,
women, to mainstream the feminine, and the feminine works perfectly all right. The feminine is actually the hearts at work. It is only that we have imbibed masculine because it was so far such, but it doesn't mean that we cannot be feminine and authentic at work. So instead of masculating the female leaders, we should try and imbibe and learn the female qualities that work at workplaces. So
yeah.
yeah, the third one was more around why we should all be storytellers and how it helps to find the David inside. So Michelangelo said that, I didn't create David. I found him stuck in a stone and I carved until I could let him free. So I
Yeah.
described how we can use storytelling to let ourselves free as an individual, and then, of course, to find wings at the profession and personal. And the fourth one, more recently, was around the three stories we tell ourselves: the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, the stories we tell others about ourselves, and then the stories others tell about us when we are not in the
Mm,
room.
right. Right. Okay. I have watched the third one, by the way. It's very beautifully narrated.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. So no podcast is complete until we hear from the speakers about the challenges, right? So what are some of the challenges you faced in transitioning careers and how did you overcome them?
Yes, first is not just transitioning careers, but entrepreneurship for a first generation entrepreneur. I guess that is a big one that
Mm,
I was absolutely unprepared for. It is one thing to be validated for your thoughts and getting, claps in the auditorium. It is quite another thing to prepare something, put it on the table, and put a price tag to it, and say that this is my offering, etc. So I believe that the entire thing about, asking target market, uh, who are my right people, who takes the decision, who receives the final thing, what are they looking for, what's the story inside their mind, this is actually a long process. It never gets over, but of course, there is a structure around it. What was very useful for me was that I got incubated with IIM Bangalore and then with ISB for their Goldman Sachs 10K Women program. So, both these programs allowed me to also understand the structure, but at the same time, get more specific mentoring one to one, where they could think about, what exactly is my kind of thing and what is appropriate here. So, a lot of handholding. I've been very, very fortunate and grateful about it. I'm still learning. That is one big thing. The second is, of course, too many degrees of freedom is also quite uh, scary.
mm,
At work, we are given a problem to solve, but then you are given the team, you are given resources, you have, of course, uh, the cafeteria and the printer and everything. Here you double up as triple up as everybody. You are the
yeah.
courier person, you are the
Right.
pantry girl, you are the person who is deciding how many hands I need and how much to pay and whether I can pay, and whether it is worth it, whether I should much rather do it myself or train somebody else. Too many degrees of freedom that often pulls you away from, why were you here in the first place? It's very easy to
Yeah.
ask that question once again, that, what am I doing? Is this my job? And it's not easy to outsource everything. It's not easy to remember your purpose when there are too many, characters you have to play every day.
Yeah.
Uh, but having said that, it's of course the sky is also not the limit. I think the degree of freedom and the entire sense of power and possibility that comes with it, that you found your problem, you are solving it, and then people are even listening to you and people are even paying you for it. That's quite unreal, surreal, and very, very meaningful.
Yeah. So let's talk about the digital age now. In a world dominated by digital media, how do you see storytelling evolving and how can individuals adapt to this new phenomenon?
To that, Sandeep, I think stories are like cockroaches.
Mm,
No,
mm,
stories have been there. I often say these stories have been there before language was invented, because
sure.
stories were shared through grunts and body languages. archaeologists tell us that the cave men and women would draw stick figures on the cave walls. They didn't have language, but they had stories to tell. So it was there, and now we wake up to Insta stories,
Yeah.
Facebook stories. So I believe that stories are here to stay, and it is, of course, I am only scratching on the surface of it. It's only, and all of us are doing that. I'm just, trying to propagate a little more awareness around it, but it is
Yeah.
not at all my ownership. Uh, I feel that stories are very much here to stay, and if it is not here to stay, I am not going to be one to struggle for its survival. I'm not here
Hmm.
to make stories stay. I am here to only help people understand and catch the train and catch the bus, because stories are already there. It's
Yeah.
it's only helpful for them to catch the bus in time.
Yeah. Okay. So before we let you go, your vision for Lighthouse, what's next for Lighthouse and how do you envision its role in empowering stories in the future?
I'm still in a place where I'm imagining it, Sandeep.
Hmm.
I'll be honest with you. I understand that it has a huge, huge thing to do in the personal, in the internal narrative of ourselves, as I was talking to you, in the personal, of course, in the interpersonal, community, social, and of course at work. At work, how
Hmm.
decisions are made, and we cannot any longer remove ourselves from how decisions are made. It's my job to just write this code and I'm done, etc. If we are looking at a long time career and building leadership skills, stories become absolutely critical and essential in the process. I have so far focused on the B2B side of it to get very technical. B2C, I have only been on the periphery, not doing as much or not doing at all, to be very honest, because it is a huge space in
Hmm.
itself and requires its own different kind of, business skills as well as models that I have been personally a little scared hearted about.
Hmm.
But in terms of vision, I would think, if I were to, again, I don't want to fix my route for the next 20 years. I want to stay open. I want to stay and, experience life myself and see where it takes me and Lighthouse. I don't want to fix a very strong image to it and work towards it and not allow myself to, take a stroll on another path, which surely will be around stories as well. But I don't have a very fixated mindset around goal. I don't believe so much in goal. I believe more in the sense of that journey and that, uncovering. I feel that we are looking to self actualize, a lot of us, as a
Hmm.
generation almost. Because, of course, as a generation in India, if I talk about, there has been that industrial age model, there has been our forefathers and, grandparents who have lost everything and built everything from ground zero, and
Yeah.
then our parents got aspirational about us but handed us a more standard manual which didn't
Hmm.
so much ask what we wanted, and now we are finally asking what we want, and we are hopefully being better parents to the next. I feel that stories we tell ourselves will make a huge difference, because we are no longer buying the stories our parents or our educators are telling us. And
Yeah.
from that point of view, if storytelling has a space in the world, Lighthouse will make its space in that world as well, is what I hope.
And their and in
I
their
don't
hearts
want
as
to
well.
fix more in the hearts, yes.
Well, Sinjini, as we wrap up this insightful episode of the Aspire and Acquire podcast, we are reminded of the transformative power of storytelling, not just as a tool for communication, but as a means to connect, inspire, and lead with authenticity. Your journey from numbers to narratives exemplifies how embracing our stories can unlock new possibilities in our personal and professional lives. Listeners, let this conversation encourage you to explore the stories within yourself and your organization and use them to create a meaningful impact. Until next time, keep aspiring, keep acquiring, and most importantly, keep sharing your story with the world. Thanks for being with us, Injini. Cheers.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Sandeep.
Thanks so much. In today's recommendation, there can't be a better pick than the short film based on Sanjini's award winning novel Elixir, which was showcased at the prestigious 69th Cannes Film Festival. This emotionally stirring adoption takes the essence of the novel, a profound journey of love, loss, and self discovery, and translates it into a cinematic masterpiece. It is a testament to its artistic brilliance. Elixir is not just a story, it's an experience that lingers long after the final scene. If you're looking for a tale that inspires and moves you, this short film is an absolute must watch. As we wrap up this insightful episode of the Aspire and Inquire podcast, we are reminded of the transformative power of storytelling, not just as a tool for communication, but as a means to connect, inspire, and lead with authenticity. Sinjini's journey from numbers to narratives exemplifies how embracing our stories can unlock new possibilities in our personal and professional lives. Let this conversation encourage you to explore the stories within yourself and your organization and use them to create a meaningful impact. Until next time, keep aspiring, keep acquiring, and most importantly, keep sharing your stories with the world.